This program contains graphic violence and sexual content. Viewer discretion is advised. Fame. It can transform a small-town dreamer into a superstar. Some people make it, and others die trying. Their dreams interrupted. A New Jersey girl moves into the city, hoping to find fame in the Big Apple.
She would have done anything to be an actress, anything.
She was very real. She was a new look. She was young, sweet.
The sweet girl in the big city sets her sights on show business fame.
New York City has always been a magnet for the entertainment industry. This is Broadway.
But New York isn't always the safest place for a girl with a dream.
Muggings were a real concern. It was a dangerous, dangerous time.
The young actress vanishes.
For her not to answer the phone, we definitely knew at that point something was wrong.
But no one expects the horror that comes next.
He saw a young woman naked lying on the rooftop.
Why would this happen to her? It's incredible.
For aspiring stars like Karin Schlegel, sometimes the pursuit of fame kills. New York City, the largest city in the U.S. and a mecca of stage and film performance. Every year, thousands of aspiring actors and actresses from all over the globe flock to the Big Apple, dreaming of success under its non-stop lights. 23-year-old Karin Schlegel grew up just 20 miles north of Times Square, in the 2-square-mile town of Cresskill, New Jersey. But it seemed a world away.
We grew up in very suburban, middle-of-the-road, middle-class American suburbs. We had the normal high school, grammar school, normal middle-of-the-road American kids.
Karin dreams of more than middle of the road.
She wanted to be an actress more than anything else in the world, and that's what she was going to do. She worked hard at it, and that was it. Nobody could stop her.
First, the stage. Then, hopefully, movies.
She saw the theater as just something beautiful and wonderful and idealistic, and also an opportunity for her to really come out and be noticed.
So far, she's done some modeling and stage acting in New York. Then, she takes her next step. She lands her first lead film role.
And I remember being so proud of her. We were all extremely happy for her because we knew that's what she really wanted to do.
I think there were about 3 different parts, and Karin seemed to have one of the major roles.
Being cast in a film, even an independent feature like this, is a big deal in New York.
Most of the television and film was on the West Coast. Theater, live theater, was mostly what we did in New York City at that time.
Only a few filmmakers, like Woody Allen and Martin Scorsese, do a lot of work in the city. But the work they do is amazing, and Karin wants in.
We need to toughen up your image now. I'm so excited for this.
I know. I'm so excited about the movie.
I know.
One warm summer night, Karin and a friend are running lines when more good news arrives. An opportunity to do a national ad campaign.
God, yes, I can be there. Okay, but we need to go to the...
A photo shoot for a Lifebuoy soap commercial. Print ad. I mean, could this be it?
Guess what? I just got a shoot tonight.
The photo shoot is that night. Running lines will have to wait.
Do well, have fun, don't be nervous.
She doesn't have much time to get ready. First, a lead in a film, and now a national ad. Maybe Karin's dreams are finally coming true.
Karin had the desire to go over there for a quick photo shoot and also to increase her portfolio. Off she went.
This could be the beginning of an amazing future of fame. But the next day, Karin's not back in her apartment. It's not like her to blow off rehearsals. Friends call over and over, no answer. They call more friends and family, but no one has seen Karin. Has something happened to her just as she's getting her big break in the Big Apple? Karin's dreams of fame begin in Cresskill, where she's raised the older of two girls.
Karin was very, very, very shy. She was so shy that she didn't really socialize with the kids. And they got almost worried about that because they thought she was too shy. But then she started to come out of her shell a little bit. She started with ballet lessons and wanted more than anything to be a dancer at first. She had the grace and the love for it. She would go to see Rudolf Nureyev and Margaret Fonteyn, and she would see also a Russian ballerina by the name of Maya Plisitskaya in the Russian Ballet in New York, and just totally fell in love with that. She just thought it was the most beautiful thing she ever saw in her life. And I've never seen anyone who wanted something as much as that. She just loved all of that stuff. The fantasy fairyland.
Despite her talent and her drive, she eventually learns she's so small she doesn't have the physical strength to be able to dance professionally, and won't make it to the spotlight in pointe shoes. Sadly, she has to give up on that dream.
She went to Concordia College in New York, and she studied a secretarial course, and she totally, totally hated it.
But there, she discovers a new passion.
And that's when the acting came. She could come out and be herself. She could go from being an introvert to an extrovert.
Lots of actors, they're drawn to this freewheeling, and the more you get into it, the more you discover that you can be anybody, and everybody accepts you because you're an actor.
Karin quickly winds up in the spotlight.
She was Olivia in 12th Night at Concordia College. She had a long dress on, and she had this long neck and this blonde hair. She loved the costumes, and she loved the elegance and majesty of it all, most of all. Everybody thought she was phenomenal, and they gave her a standing ovation and bravoed her, and I thought she did a great job.
But after college, she has to put her acting dreams on hold to earn a living.
She landed a job at one of the big publishing houses, McGraw-Hill.
She was an editorial assistant there. And she also edited a book called House Architects Design for Themselves. It was really interesting. I was like, Karin, you know, that's an achievement. But she didn't brag about it at all. She just went to work and did it.
It's interesting work, but Karin realizes she wants more.
She did not want to continue in McGraw-Hill. That was not her main priority at all. It was not even close to her desire to be an actress. She would have done anything to be an actress, anything.
She had this inner voice that kept telling her, perhaps you should go to show business. She got the bug to become an actress.
She started taking classes at the Lee Strasberg Institute in New York, and she became involved with method acting.
Karin decides it's time to take the risk. She leaves her parents' house in the Jersey suburbs and settles in Greenwich Village, the center of New York's art scene.
She moved out for the first time with her friend Charlotte in Flushing, Queens. There she didn't have her own room, and she would sleep on the sofa in the living room.
Everybody comes to New York. It's the big time. As the song says, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Kids just out of high school, kids just out of college, all came to New York and try to make their way.
The publishing job leaves precious little time to follow her acting dreams. She'll have to pick one or the other.
My mom was very much into her staying at McGraw-Hill. My mom was a journalist and a writer. And Karin also had a terrific talent for writing. And I think my mom saw that she was just in a very, very good job where she could be promoted. It was a safe job, and my mom just wanted to have her stay there.
Karin knows she has to follow her heart.
She actually quit her job there and went to work as a waitress at a restaurant up at Penn Station.
It's low pay, but it's more flexible to allow for auditions.
I don't think she cared about the money. I think she just wanted to do it and be noticed. And I think she would have thought that everything else would fall into place after that. I kind of felt like, well, she's Karin, and Karin knows what she's doing. And I just trusted her that this is what she wanted and go for it, you know? I tried to encourage her.
Her father has serious concerns.
He started to think that her lifestyle was kind of questionable a little bit, and he was really nervous about what she was doing. He really didn't like this at all. What my father was deeply scared about was her apartment in the Village, which was kind of not in a good neighborhood.
New York City was one of the grittiest places on earth. The crime rate was through the roof. Drugs were rampant. It was kind of a city out of control. Our parents should have definitely been worried.
In leaving the safety of the suburbs and the security of a steady job to follow her dream to become a famous actress on the stage and screen, will Karin fall prey to the city she loves? Seeking fame on Broadway's stages and on the big screens of movie theaters, small-town girl Karin Schlegel moves from the quiet suburb of Crest Hill, New Jersey, to New York's Greenwich Village.
New York City has always been a magnet for the entertainment industry. I mean, let's face facts. This is Broadway. Anybody who ever wanted to be an actor looks to come on the stage at Broadway, the great white lights of Broadway.
Stars like Jane Fonda and Ellen Burstyn built huge careers in New York, going from stage to screen and back again. But making it in the Big Apple isn't easy.
Every actor has to have what we call a day job because there's never enough work to go around.
Waitressing was cash, and you could walk out with money. There was always a flexibility of working, your auditions around the schedule.
In New York, she didn't have much money, and it was pretty much waitressing and going on auditions. But she had such a determination to do this that she went for it.
To work on her acting skills, she tries to follow the lead of her silver screen idol, running around the city to catch every Marlon Brando film she can.
I could have been a contender.
Marlon Brando was the actor she totally adored. One thing was that he was a method actor, and she really believed strongly in the method acting approach.
The bills pile up. Method acting classes at the Lee Strasberg Institute, rent, and just trying to get noticed.
You were constantly marketing. You needed a headshot, you needed postcards, you needed to be sending out postcards, you needed to be networking. It just never stopped.
Karin did complain about financial troubles. She said, I don't know if I can make it. And she was starting to doubt herself a little bit and was a little bit scared if she wouldn't make it, what would she do? But she still kept at it. And my father visited her with my mother and wanted to give her $200. And, you know, in those days, that was like a lot of money. And she said to my mother, maybe Daddy can't afford this, and maybe I shouldn't, you know, take it.
Come on. At least let us do this.
My mother said, Karin, take it. Come on, take it.
We love you, sweetheart. Okay.
She accepts the money, but hopes not to spend it. She wants to do this her own way.
Think of every actor's dilemma, unless you happen to come from a very wealthy family. And there were some people who did, and it certainly gave them an advantage.
There are other parts of the industry that make her family uneasy.
She mentioned that some actors took her clothes off her director. And my mom said to her, Karin, that's not good. You know, that girl shouldn't do that. And Karin said, Mom, if that's what it's going to take for her to get a part, she's now a famous actress, so why not?
Actresses like Jane Fonda have done tasteful nude scenes, so while it can be uncomfortable, sometimes that's what the work requires.
Being an actor, it's crazy. There are good experiences and there are crummy experiences where you go to an audition and you know the audition is nothing is going to come of it, and it's just a way for them to publicize themselves as if something's going on and it really isn't going on. And then there are the places where you go and they want you to try something on, like a bathing suit, you know, so you're supposed to go into the bathroom, take off all your clothes.
She knew that there were things along the way that you kind of had to do, which maybe were not so pleasant, but you had to do it if you wanted to get parts. And I know that's probably the way the industry works.
Yet, even outside the casting calls, New York's a tough town, and sometimes a dangerous one.
Karin was on her way home one night from her job, slightly later than her normal rush hour commute. She boarded a train, hardly anybody on a train. And these two punks got on the train with only one motive. Let's grab her.
What are you doing? Stop it! What are you doing?
A resident in the city finds the abandoned purse with Karin's ID in it.
Called her mom out in Cresskill. And they said, does Karin Schlegel live at this address?
Oh my God, is she okay?
She said, well, what's wrong? Well, we have her back.
Where is she?
And she was very upset, naturally, as any mother would be.
Okay, thank you.
So she called Karin's roommate. Karin's roommate told her on the phone, I'm not supposed to tell you. Yeah, she was robbed on the subway. She was mugged. But she's okay.
The incident scares her parents, and they want her to come home.
But everybody was hopeful. I think that was the big deal. We were all hopeful because all you needed was one good break, as we all said in those days.
This summer after moving to New York, Karin responds to an audition call for an independent film being produced by a man named Charles Yuckel.
All right, well.
I showed up at the audition at Charles' apartment. There were only female parts in this particular movie, and I met Karin that very first time. She had been sitting there, and he had asked her to stay and read. He was kind of eliminating people that evening.
That I would like to have both of you in the film. You got the part.
Really?
But Karin's audition blows the producer away.
She had a freshness to her. She had kind of a sense of purity to her, you know, an authenticity to her. She was fresh, she was a new look, she was young, sweet.
She and her new friend get 2 lead roles.
When she got this part in the movie, she was so excited. I mean, she was like calling me just so happy. I thought that this was wonderful.
Karin hopes her good luck streak extends to her dating life.
She didn't really date much in college, but when she got out of college, she wanted to really date seriously.
And a friend had set her up on a date, a fellow named Mare. Karin actually became interested in Mare, and the feeling was mutual, and they were going to date.
Maybe life in New York City isn't so bad after all. It gets even better when the film's producer takes the cast out for a night on the town to celebrate.
He had called me and said that they were going to the plaza. Can you believe that? I mean, and he did take them to the plaza. I was not able to make it.
A lead role, a possible new boyfriend, and now a fancy dinner at the plaza. Her dreams are coming true.
He had actually talked about taking it further, you know, that it was going to be more than that. And I think even in one of the phone calls, he called people up and said that he was getting some sponsors, that he was getting some money behind it, and that he was going to shop it and it was going to go further. So sure, I mean, people wanted to feel that if they were going to invest this time, there was no money, but he was taking a whole bunch of people out there.
The night after the big dinner, she gets the call about the soap advertisement.
Hello?
The caller, Charles Yuckel, the film producer who also does photography.
She was happy. The part in the movie, and he said he had a soap commercial for her. He needed her to come over.
Guess what? I just got a shoot tonight.
He was going to photograph her, and she went over there.
Then she disappears. She doesn't show up for her rehearsal date with her friend the next day. That's quickly followed by another troubling discovery.
A highway worker happens to notice a woman's handbag, probably belonging to some poor woman who got her bag snatched off her while she was waiting for a bus along Central Park West. Well, that's what this guy thought. Then he opened the bag. And the money is on top of the wallet. Now, if this is a mugging, why the hell is there money here? Obviously, the thief would take the cash.
The ID inside the wallet belongs to Karin Schlegel.
So he calls the cops. When Karin's mother first got notified that the handbag had been found, she basically said on the phone, "Oh my God, here we go again, another mugging."
I'll call her right away. We'll get in touch with her.
This was the second time that a handbag belonging to Karin had been found. You know, what's wrong with this girl?
She tries to get in touch with her daughter.
My mom called after the pocketbook was found. We just never got an answer in her apartment. For her not to answer the phone when we called, that was very, very unusual because it happened for a few hours. I mean, if she were going away, she would call us and let us know. We definitely knew at that point something was wrong.
The story of Karin Schlegel's rise to fame is about to take a chilling turn. Trying to follow in the footsteps of celebrities like Jane Fonda and Ellen Burstyn, aspiring actress Karin Schlegel looks to launch a career in New York City, starting with stage work and shifting into film. But after leaving her apartment for a photo shoot, she disappears. Her family learns a highway worker found her pocketbook dumped on a trash can. Yet they know little else.
We knew she was missing. We were all talking how concerned we were that we haven't heard from her. Something happens to her, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Muggings were to a point where it became a real concern. It was a dangerous, dangerous time.
The following morning, A tenant in a Greenwich Village apartment building reports a leaking ceiling to her super.
Super came up, all right, well, let's check the roof. They both went to the roof together. And they looked around and there was a little puddle of water, but obviously some work needed to be done. But then the super walked to the edge of the roof. And he just couldn't believe what he saw.
A young woman naked lying on the rooftop. And he immediately called the police. And that's how the investigation started.
Homicide units from several precincts respond.
They came to the roof with a medical examiner to examine the body.
The young woman's face is badly beaten. Her breasts are bruised, and there are lacerations on her stomach and thighs. It looks like she was strangled.
There were ligature marks. And one of the first things you do is look for petechial hemorrhaging. What petechial hemorrhaging is little red dots in the eyes.
They are capillaries ruptured by increased pressure in the head when airways are obstructed.
It's almost 100% indicative of a strangulation. The next step is to look at the back of the body. There may be a knife stuck in the back. It could be, multiple gunshots. You don't know until you physically turn the body over. So before they did anything else, they turned the body over.
There's no major damage to the back of the head, meaning she wasn't dropped there from another rooftop. Then they spot a strange detail.
They noticed part of her back. There was a rectangle with 3 perfect circles. It almost looked as if she was branded, like someone branded her.
And the question is, where did that branding come from? Did it happen sometime before her death, or did it happen during the course of her death, or after? So that was a very significant piece of evidence.
There's no ID, no usable fingerprints, nothing. Who she is, why she was killed, and who did it. Everything's a complete mystery.
The first inclination is a sexual assault, boyfriend-girlfriend thing, or a violent husband, a case of domestic violence. Maybe another woman killed her because of jealousy over a guy.
Most crimes occur between A and B who have a relationship. A very small percentage of crimes occur where there is no relationship at all, and the defendant randomly selects.
If it's not an insider, it's much scarier.
Every detective hopes to God that it's not the case, is that this is the result of a serial killer. Someone out on the street who was probably going to murder again.
Detectives go door to door, talking to the building's tenants.
You do a canvass, and you knock on every door in that building. First of all, you make sure that everyone's accounted for. Then you ask the obvious question, did you have a female guest? I mean, we have a body on the roof.
No one remembers seeing anything suspicious. Across the river in New Jersey, Karin's parents still can't get her on the phone. Their worry is reaching a fever pitch.
They weren't getting any phone calls. The father was sent by the mom to Karin's place of employment, the restaurant where she was working as a waitress. And no one there had seen her. She hadn't showed up for work. Now the mother is hysterical.
Homicide detectives work to identify the victim.
Detective in the 6th precinct where the victim was found made calls to several different precincts just to see if there was any missing person. One place he called, they said, yeah, we have a purse stolen. He said, well, do you have a photograph? Did we have a photograph?
They compare Karin's ID from the purse to the body.
And, well, they believe they have a match. And at that point, they reach out and they eventually notify her parents.
I was crying. I was so upset. So my parents went to the police station. And my father, he went in and he identified her. He was in a state of shock. He said, that is my daughter. And He kneeled down next to it, said a prayer, and then he collapsed and he went out and he said, "It's her, it's her." I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. She was so happy. All she wanted was to be an actress. I don't think I'll ever get over it, ever. It was so devastating for all of us. I don't think people can even begin to imagine when something happens to a close family member who just wanted to fulfill her dream, and that's all. Nobody knows how it feels unless you go through it.
An autopsy confirms the cause of death.
The medical examiner informed me that it was a ligature strangulation.
The killer used so much force, he broke Karin's neck. There's still no explanation for the bizarre brand on her back. The murder becomes big news.
Karin's story received a lot of media because here was a young woman who was pursuing her dreams and wound up meeting a psychopathic killer. That story was the lead story on the 11 o'clock news.
One of those watching is Karin's friend, who'd set her up on a blind date.
First thing that hit her was, oh my God, Marty, this new love interest. They had no idea who this guy was. They met him in a bar. Maybe he's the killer.
Had the rising actress's fledgling romance turned fatal? In New York City, 23-year-old Karin Schlegel works hard to achieve her dream of being a stage and screen actress until she's found murdered and left on the roof of a building on Waverly Place in Greenwich Village. She's been beaten and strangled to death, and there's a strange mark, like a brand, on her back. But nothing indicates who killed her or how she got on the roof. As news spreads about the aspiring actress's terrible death, one of her friends suspects a guy Karin had been interested in, Marty, might be involved.
Maybe this is domestic violence. Maybe this is spurned boyfriend. You naturally go to the partner, whether it's a man or a woman. It's just a natural progression for detectives.
But the friend doesn't know Marty's last name or where he lives. The insiders detectives can find get ruled out. The lead goes nowhere.
You run down every alley you can. We checked out her relationships, of course, all of which came up zero.
Another of Karin's friends comes forward with a more promising lead.
It was a friend of Karin Schlegel. She was rehearsing a play with her, and Karin received a telephone call while they were rehearsing.
Hello?
This was the night of the crime.
The friend tells detectives about the producer asking Karin to come over and shoot a soap advertisement.
So we knew that she was going to his apartment because he said he was doing a print ad commercial.
She explains the producer's name is Charles Yuckel, and he lives on Waverly Place with his wife.
And I said, Waverly Place? You mean the building where the body was found? Yes.
Suddenly, a case that started with scant evidence begins to move fast. Detectives check their records of the initial building canvas and learn investigators spoke to Yuckel after the body was found, asking him if he'd had any female visitors the night before. He told them he and his wife hadn't been home that night. If Karin did go there for the shoot, it's an absolute lie. There's still no proof she made it to his apartment. Yet, when they run Charles Yuckel's name, they learn a troubling fact. He's a felon on parole for a very similar crime.
His parole officer saw it on TV and called the police.
He killed another young woman at a different apartment when they lived over in Kips Bay on 28th Street.
That victim was 25-year-old secretary Susan Reynolds. She'd been taking vocal lessons from Yuckel.
Yuckel killed Susan Reynolds with a ligature. tie. He dragged her down a couple of flights, found a vacant apartment, carved her up with a razor blade, performed a sexual act on her in death. And then he called the police. And he said as he was shopping on his way back up to his apartment, he saw the deceased in this vacant apartment. The detectives who responded to his call looked at him, they looked at Susan Reynolds, and they knew immediately this is not a guy playing with a full deck.
Yuckel confessed and was given a plea deal, which came with a surprisingly short sentence: 7 to 15 years in prison for manslaughter. But his actual stay was even shorter.
He was released after 5.5 years on the Susan Reynolds case because they determined that he was a model prisoner. Not only was his MO strangulation ligature, which was this case, not only was his MO to then to drag the deceased away, he dragged Susan Reynolds down a few flights.
That paroled murderer is the very man Karin was supposed to meet that night.
They knew that he had killed Suzanne Reynolds before, and he was out on parole. So they suspected that it was him, and that he did the same thing again to Karin.
Once it became clear that Yuckel lived in the building, and the medical examiner informed me that it was a ligature strangulation, which was his MO from the Susan Reynolds case, it became very clear to me Yuckel was the murderer. Now the question was, could we find the evidence that would support a case against him?
At Karin's apartment, investigators discover a direct connection between their victim and their suspect.
They found various letters from Charlie, and they also found the advertising ad in one of those backstage papers, and it was circled.
During the search, they also uncover more poignant evidence: that $200 her father gave her, which she needed so desperately.
She refused to spend it. That's the kind of girl she was. Really decent, you know.
An evidence team turns up more vital clues at the crime scene.
Now the criminologists have done their work, crime scene guys, and they've seen all the marks, bloodstains go right down the stairs.
Now, does that mean that it was Yuckel initially? It could have been anybody in the building. Who did it? It was just another circumstantial piece of evidence in a mosaic, if you will.
Investigators decide to try to get Yuckel to confess.
This is Charles.
They try to set up a sting with a female police officer playing the part of one of Karin's friends.
I wanted there to be a confrontation. I know you murdered Karin. Why did you do it? She would be wired, and anything he said would be incriminating.
She came over for a photo shoot, and she did a really great job.
The sting doesn't go quite as planned.
The police woman who made the telephone call was in a hotel room that we had set up and asked him to meet her in this hotel room.
No, I'm not going to a hotel room. I'll tell you what.
He said, I'll meet you downtown. The policewoman played the role a little bit too much by the book and said, no, I'll only meet you in the hotel room.
Look, I'm not going to a hotel room.
Yuckel hangs up without agreeing to a meeting. With little direct evidence and no admission on tape, investigators will have to try to get a confession the old-fashioned way. But it won't be easy. Karin Schlegel struggles with a smile as she tries to become a working actress in the Big Apple. Just as she's on her way up, she's found strangled and possibly branded on a New York rooftop. NYPD detectives believe they know who killed her: recently paroled murderer Charles Yuckel. But they have little direct physical evidence and hope for a confession.
So detectives invite him to the station house. He agrees, comes to the police station. They give him his Miranda warnings, and they begin a Q&A.
He says he didn't see Karin on the night she was killed, claiming he and his wife weren't even home that night.
He was with his wife at a friend's apartment. Words to that effect that in his mind exonerated him from obviously murdering Karin Schlegel.
Nothing else? No, nothing.
Nobody buys his story. Detectives keep the pressure on.
Sometimes it's very difficult for them to sit and tell how they brutally destroyed a young woman. After many hours, he gives them bits and pieces, and he's slowly going into it. As time rolls on, the questions become, more direct.
I'll tell you everything.
Eventually, he said, "Okay, now I'll tell you the whole story."
There was no movie.
He admits the independent film Karin auditioned for, the project that was going to launch her career, never existed. He used the casting notice to hunt for victims to feed his bloodlust.
He thought that the best way to get a large group of women from whom he would select his victim was by creating a false narrative. And the false narrative was that there was a movie.
If you want to file back there, we'll get started.
That if they responded for an audition and they were chosen, that would further their career. He played upon that, and that's why these women responded.
He admits Karin was not his first choice of victim that night.
He called up a young woman, not Karin Schlegel, and asked her to come to his apartment. And the husband asked her where she was going, and she said she was going to this fellow's apartment. And he said, "Like hell you're going. You're not going to go to some guy's apartment at 8, 9 o'clock at night." And she reluctantly stayed home and cheerfully called up Yuckel and told him that she couldn't make it. And then he called up Karin Schlegel.
Karin, who worked hard for just such an opportunity, agreed to come to the shoot.
Karin was in the apartment with Charles, and Charles had everything set up for a photo shoot. It looked very professionally rigged, and she was kind of at ease.
But as they began the session, he changed,
You're so hot.
turning very creepy.
Kind of grabbing his crotch and, doing things that weren't exactly normal. She became concerned and she said, "Excuse me, like what are you doing? Why are you touching yourself?" And he said to her, "Do I turn you on?" Things just got worse from there.
She wanted to leave, but there was no leaving Charles Yuckel.
And they had a physical confrontation. She got punched in the face a couple of times. And he was able to seize that opportunity. He had a necktie, wrapped it around her neck. It's a tremendous physical struggle, the fight of her life. Sadly, she lost.
Her dreams of stardom destroyed by a madman who promised her exactly that.
And the phone rings, and it's his wife. She says, "I'm on the way home." He doesn't have time to get rid of the body. So he takes Karin's body and shoves her under the bed that Charlie and his wife sleep on. His wife comes in the apartment, doesn't think anything's wrong. They go to bed.
The sick perversion is stunning. His wife is completely unaware Karin's body lay just below them. When his wife left for work early in the morning, he got to work too.
He takes Karin Schlegel's body out from under the bed, along with her bag, her pocketbook. The first thing he does is he takes her up the roof, leaves her there face up, comes back down, cleans up the apartment a little bit, takes the bag, takes off and goes down to Lower Manhattan, to Murray Street, and he dumps the bag. Then he returns home, takes the dog for a walk.
What about the bizarre brand investigators found on Karin's back? It's actually from a card table.
The card table was under the bed where he stuffed her, and it impacted her back. And that's what caused the mark on her back. It was precisely the same geometrically, so it wasn't just some similar kind of mark. It was the mark of the killer.
prosecutors charge Charles Yuckel with first-degree murder.
I could have gone in there with the gun and killed him because you have no, that's the first thought in your mind if this happens like this to a loved one in your family. People don't get that, but that's the first thing you want to do is kill him for what he did. That's how it feels.
When I realized that Charles Yuckel had killed Karin, I was shocked. It was such a terrible tragedy of someone who was so young, just at the beginning of their career, and just their life completely taken away by crazy circumstance. It was just really, really shocking, and it stayed with me my whole life.
Yuckel tries an insanity plea, but psychologists determine he is not crazy and knew exactly what he was doing. He changes his plea to guilty.
Charles Yuckel, at the conclusion of the case, was sentenced to life in prison, and he had a mandatory minimum of 15 years before he would be eligible for parole, because the death penalty was stricken at that time.
He never makes it to a parole hearing. Instead, Charles Yuckel finds another way out of prison.
He hung himself because he didn't think he would get out. It wasn't even remorse. He showed no remorse at all. It was just thinking about himself. He didn't think he would get out.
Charlie Yuckel went in and used the system. He taught piano, he taught voice in prison. He was the model prisoner. Somewhere along the line, he even convinced the shrinks that he was okay. And he was released before the minimum sentence, which was outrageous. Right back into society, right back into the city.
The world lost a sweet, good, kind girl. And it happened because of this justice system. And I bitterly resent what they did. And I know maybe they tried to do the best they could, but to me, that's no excuse.
The Karin Schlegel case, I find it terribly tragic to the extent that while she was trying to pursue her dream, it ultimately wound up leading to her death.
Karin's death really was a shudder through the community. The women that were cast in the film, many of them actually left the business or went on to do different things.
I think she would have made it as an actress. I do. I do, honestly. Karin, you were beautiful. You didn't even know it. You were talented. You were wonderful. You really should have known how wonderful you really were and how much of a loss all of us feel at your death.